John Warren recently posted on Twitter that he was honored to be with General Jim Mad Dog Mattis. Now, John Warren a few years ago ran against Governor Henry McMaster as a conservative Republican candidate, and today he is actually a leader of a group called the South Carolina's Conservative Future. He founded this organization where he is actually, with his organization, endorsing candidates to move the conservative movement forward in South Carolina. And I'm concerned because I know a lot about General John Mattis. This article, written by Steve Bias, says Mattis was just another interventionist and globalist. And if you go down here to this article, this paragraph here, he says Mattis has been on the board of directors for the Center for a New American Security, a group that has called for the overthrow of Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte. According to Gideon Rose in the latest edition of Foreign Affairs, the official publication of the Globalist Council on Foreign Relations, regime change in nations that could not be trusted to participate in the collective security system has been a principle for those supportive of the New World Order from the days of one of its principal advocates, Woodrow Wilson. Among the donors of the Center for a New American Security is George Soros's Open Society Foundation. So General Jim Mad Dog Mattis is actually connected with the George Soros Open Society Foundation. And if just as a reminder, when Donald Trump was trying to pull us out of Syria, was trying to make sure we didn't go to war in Syria, General Mattis he resigned because Donald Trump would not go to war in Syria, which Congress had never declared war in Syria to go to war in Syria, so it would have been an unconstitutional war to go into, and it had probably been one of those many years wars that would never end until something happened that clearly made the war completely unnecessary. Such as what we just did in Afghanistan, where Americans finally figured out, what are we doing in Afghanistan, right? And so on this page here, you can see Stephen Neal wrote for the New American. He wrote, General Mattis, forever wars are an investment in greater security and the end of American first. And I'm not going to go through and read that article, but I encourage you to take a look at it, because in that photo there, he's speaking in front of a Council on Foreign Relations banner, so it looks like he's at a Council on Foreign Relations event. And anyways, anybody that tags teams with the Council on Foreign Relations is not a friend of South Carolinians, especially true Americanist conservatives that want to save our state from the New World Order. General Jim Mattis is certainly working with the New World Order. He's not apologized. He's not repented from what he's done. If you're curious about what the Council on Foreign Relations is and what it's been trying to do to America and what it's still doing to America, I would encourage you to go to shopjbs.org and order our reprint titled CFR Steal the Power Behind the Throne reprint. You can get that for $1.25. If you want to order more, you do get a discount. It's sort of the Reader's Digest version of the CFR. And if you want to go on and read a book about the CFR, read this book, In the Shadows of the Deep State by Arthur Thompson. You can get that one for $10.95. And if you want to read one of our older books, one of our very famous books about the CFR, it's called The Shadows of Power, and it's sold for $24.95 from shopjbs.org. If you don't want to read the book, but you want to listen to the audiobook, just go to YouTube and type in Shadows of Power, James Perloff, and you can find the audiobook, which is about 5.5 hours long on there for you to read. John Warren should not be honored to be standing next to General Jim Mattis. I think that's clear at this point. And I know he's trying to sell his new book, but those of us who are South Carolinians that are trying to save our country from what the World Economic Forum, from what the globalists want to do to us, I think it's important that we don't make people think that there are some neocons that are honorable, because none of the neocons, the neoconservatives, are honorable at this point. We know what they've been up to. We know what they're trying to do to the future of South Carolina and the United States of America. It's time to stop supporting these people who want unconstitutional unconstitutional, never-ending wars. It's time to move forward with an Americanist first foreign policy where Congress declares war, not the president, not NATO, not some group overseas. It needs to be Congress. And that's the way George Washington and John Adams intended for the U.S. Constitution to work. So let's get back to that, Americans. Thank you for watching this. Remember, it's not what you know, it's what you do with what you know. So go out there and do something with this. Take action today.